Good morning, everyone. I'm Heidi Mulligan Walker, and together with Megan Peterson Fenn, we're the co-authors of Inspiring Global Entrepreneurs. This morning, we're interviewing Kirthi Mundada, who is the owner and founder of Indian Tadka Limited. And Kirthi is really bringing an authentic taste of India to England. And today we are all about authenticity. Any of you who've been reading the book or who followed us the last few months, you'll know that I was going through some cancer treatment and I've been wearing a wig for 6 months. And 90-degree weather here in North Carolina, I cannot wear that wig anymore. So I'm being authentic on the hair front, and we're here talking to Kirthi all about what is really amazing about bringing an authentic piece of your culture to your new and adopted country, which is what Kirthi is doing with Indian Tadka and really having an amazing success. So after only 5 months in business, we really wanted to speak to her and to see what it was that actually gave her the boost to say, you know what, there is something missing in this Indian food market here in the UK, which is pretty established. So Kirthi, tell us about what it is that you felt was missing in the Indian food market and how you're filling that gap at Indian Tadka.
Yes. Hello, everyone. And the main thing which I thought was missing in the market here in England was, and all the curries and everything were like Indian food's actually really healthy. And how they were selling here was it was really oily and filled with cream and everything. And there's lots, and in England, the Indian food market is only like curries, papadums, onion bhajis, samosas. But there's so much more to Indian food. Like in India, there are lots of states, and every state represents different type of food. So I wanted to show people what Indian food is all about. How much difference to Indian food what you get here and what actually we get in India. So yeah, that was what actually brought me to start this business. Yes.
It's wonderful because I think if you haven't been to India and you go to London, you think, oh, wow, I can eat all of this amazing Indian food and not actually know that you're missing out on what the real thing is, not knowing that the tastes have been, in a sense, diluted for, I guess, the British market. So what gave you the strength? How did you actually overcome any fear related to really taking on a market in your adopted country?
Yes. And the first thing was like my parents, my family, they did help me a lot. And I thought like people need to try my food to see what actually Indian food is about. And once like I only had like few friends around and I started cooking for them and they tasted it. And through word of mouth, it kept on spreading. So I think until the people tasted, they wouldn't know what actual Indian food was. So that's how I knew like the market was already set. So I was going to change what was already there. So I think, yes, it did help me because people, when they started tasting, they knew, oh, Indian food's actually really healthy. Yes, yeah. So, yeah, I keep getting the same customers back as well. And through word of mouth, yeah, it spread. So, yes, yeah.
Wonderful. So tell me, I love your tagline, which is eat, learn, love Indian food. So you really are combining all of those three elements, and that you do catering, but you're also doing cooking classes at the same time. And was that your initial intention, or did that just kind of grow organically when you got started?
I actually wanted to start with like teaching lessons, like starting with showing people what actual Indian food is all about. So I wanted to go that way. But as my customers started growing, they wanted me to start doing catering as well. So when they had parties, they always used to say, like, Kirthi, could you please cook for us? And I just started cooking for friends again. And then, yes, it started spreading that way. So I can if people are having parties, I even be their chef for the day. So I just go and cook at their home, or if they want, like if they don't have big enough kitchens, or even my kitchen's really small, but I'd still like cook from home and take it around them. So I do catering as well. So yeah, it's everything. Yeah.
Wonderful. And I love that by getting into this, you actually, I really love reading on your website that you've been really connecting with your mom a lot as a result of, cooking these recipes and getting some advice from her and whatnot. So it's almost as if, although, you've been in the UK since 2008, it seemed almost to me as though you yourself are learning even more about your home country through your adopted country experience.
Yes, yeah. It's like, I think I even mentioned it earlier as well. Like, I had to come to UK actually to learn how to cook Indian food, because when I was back in India, I was working, I was studying and everything, so I didn't actually concentrate on like cooking or anything. But I always used to see my mom how to cook, and when I came here, I thought like after my family, the thing what I was missing was Indian food. So I always like my mom. She used to come on Skype and show me how to cook. So
I
yes,
love it.
yeah, and I came to UK to actually learn how to cook.
Oh, I really love it. And I think it's a really interesting piece about the expat experience is that you really you learn about yourself in a new culture. And often what you learn about is your own culture at the same time, because you're faced with all of those contrasts and whatnot and what's different. So it puts your home country into super sharp focus as well, which is often quite an unexpected experience of part of traveling.
Yes, yeah. Like even though I'm like far away from the country, I always feel, because I'm cooking so much and I'm showing people what in a way I feel like I'm representing India.
Yeah.
So yes, it does encourages me more, because I'm actually showing people what actual Indian food is all about, how India is. In a way, like even on my website, I've mentioned it. Like Indian food has actually got a tradition. Like Indian people are really traditional, and Indian food even has a tradition as well. So I'm actually showing people what the tradition of India is through my food. So yeah, that's how it is.
It's wonderful. And are you finding that your customers are, Indians themselves, or are they, just the British public, or is there a trend as far as your customer base is concerned?
For catering, I get lots of Indian customers, but for cooking lessons and even again catering as well, they're more English customers. Yes, yeah. I've never had Indian customers learning from me. It was all for catering, but all the customers that I'm teaching how to cook, it's all English customers. Yes, yeah.
Wonderful. So tell me, I know that the food industry is one of the ones that's really got the most regulations, especially as someone starting out. It's really got a lot of the hurdles that you have to get over to start with before you can even call yourself a food producer. So how did you actually get your head around all of the different food regulations and preparation requirements for the British government?
Yes, like working in the finance industry did help me to set up a company and everything. That was the good side, that I knew how to set my own company up.
Right.
So that was the easy part for me. And the local council is really helpful here. So they did guide me, like whenever I had any questions or anything, I did ask local council of how I can do things. But that was this thing actually where I couldn't find an exact guide where people can just go and find some help. So actually when I started this business, I made sure I write every single point down of what you need and everything. And I've decided, like, if there's someone who's starting a new business related to food, I'll just give them that book over to them. So that would be helpful for them. Yes, so they won't have to like wander around everywhere. So yeah.
Wonderful.
So that's like and I've actually like helped one of my friends recently to start her own company. So that was like really good actually, because I felt like even if I can help one person with all the work I've put through to start my own company, even if I could help with the same rules and everything to one person, that would be great. So I've passed that on, and my friend found it really useful actually. So
fantastic.
Yes.
Well, please, if you do put that down into kind of a paper format or type it up, whatever, forward it through. We'll credit you and everything. We can put it on our website as one of our resources, because that was one of the other things we had wanted to do was, provide people with the resources so that they're, you can say, okay, this is what so-and-so did. It's sometimes easier to follow a model that's already been successful.
Yeah, sure. I'll forward them on to you, because I think it's when you have a step-by-step guide of what you have to do, it's much more easier rather than like people pointing out at you like, oh, have you got this insurance? Or have you been registered with this person? Have you been registered there?
Yeah.
So I think it's much more easier when you have like a set of say rules kind of thing that you have to follow them. Yes, yeah, surely I'll forward it, and it would be great actually, even if I could help someone else.
Yeah,
That would
yeah.
be really great. Yes, I would be
Wonderful.
pleased.
Fantastic. Well, we would love it. We would love it. So, Kirti,
Yeah.
tell me, you started in November. So it has been almost, half a year for you.
Yeah.
Where is it that you want to be at the end of your first year as you look forward?
And I would actually want to establish like Indian restaurant, like a Indian style restaurant where we are sending like selling Indian food with like Indian. It would be all Indian inspired. So even the way you sit and eat and everything would be Indian inspired. So yes, I hope to like get some investors around or get finances together and everything. And by the end of year one or year two, I want to start my own restaurant.
I think that would be amazing. I think we were talking before we got started with the formal interview, and I was sharing with Kirti about my experience in China. And I want to be able to get that authentic Chinese dining experience here. And there are a lot of Chinese families around, and there's a couple of good Chinese restaurants, but it's not being served family style, which is how it is in China. And the food is not as fresh, or it's not using as many of the spices and whatnot. So I knew exactly what you were bringing to the Indian food market in England, because I know what I'm missing from the authentic Chinese experience. So I think that is a fantastic idea. I mean, you really do. If you have traveled to those countries, you crave that authentic experience when you come back. And if you haven't, it gives you a taste of the authentic experience, if you don't have the opportunity to go there. And it surprises me that more people don't do that.
Yes, yeah, that's one thing. I think people want to like adapt to like how I think people don't want to change. Like even and when they come, like even if I wanted to start at a restaurant and if I serve the same food, what's already there. So I didn't want it to do that. I want to show people what actually Indian food is about, how Indian traditions are, how we sit and eat. And I always think like food actually brings everyone together, and I want to show like even when people came to my restaurant, even if they're sad, when they leave, they should be happy. That's my aim.
Yes, yes, yeah. And I wonder, as we're talking about this, it's making me think that I think we're in an interesting place in terms of immigration in all of these countries. In that, if you
Yes.
think about, kind of initially big immigration into the UK, say from India, there was a very different political environment between the two countries. And it would have been more in a situation of kind of trying to fit in more. Whereas now I think that there is more appreciation for the diversity of the culture. People do travel to India more as a vacation destination.
Yes.
That actually, you can say that for so many of the different cultures that are represented on the food front. I think everywhere is ready for that authentic experience now. It's just a different time in history,
Yes, yeah, that's true actually. I think because many people have already been to India, like even like lots of people, even my customers as well. And when they ate my food, they're like, "Oh yes, this is like Indian food," and they were like quite surprised as well to see like what they're eating is actually really Indian style food. So yes, I think people because now people are going so much abroad. I think they know what actual food is and what the ones which have been turned into like sort of Indian food here. There's lots of difference in there, and I think people are looking for authenticity now. Yes, yeah, that's true.
Wonderful. I'm like, bring it here to where I am. Where I am living here in Cary, North Carolina, we have a really large population of families from India and families from China. And there's only a couple of places to really get the food. So anytime I say to any of my Chinese friends, okay, where do you go for your Chinese food? I ask my Indian friends, okay, where do you go for your Indian food? And yet, most of the time they'll say they'll go here or there, but most of the time they say we just cook at home, because they can't really get the full experience. So it would be really welcomed here. In fact, there's a gentleman who's won like a top restaurant award here, who's from Greece, and he's got a Greek restaurant, and it's authentic. It's wonderful, and it's like people do it really is a successful model. Bringing a taste of your country to your adopted country is really one that can work. So I really applaud you on doing that, and the success that you've already had in such a short period of time. Kirti, one last question before we finish up. How are you keeping yourself going during this period? Because I know there's the getting started phase, and then there's keeping it going. And what is it that really is giving you the energy to make sure that you see the end of your first year as a new business owner?
Yes. And speaking to my family 10 times a day, probably. I actually, like, as soon as, I think, I don't even, like, get from bed, like, once I'm up. I don't actually get out of the bed. The first thing I do is ring my mom and speak to my parents. That's the first thing I actually do.
Wow,
yes, yeah.
wow.
So, and I think, like, Indian families are really close together, and particularly my family, we are like really close together. And I think my family does give me a lot of strength, actually. Yes, yeah, and they always encourage me. And with my mom, it's like whenever she tries a new dish, she has to say me like, "Kirthi, you need to try this dish." And my sister, she lives in South Africa, so it's same with my sister as well. Like my mom shares the recipes and everything with my sister as well, and they have to try it, and it's like. It's almost like even though we are so far, it's like we're together kind of thing. Yes, yes, yeah, they keep me going. Yes.
I love it. We talk in the book about cheerleaders and how important it is to say, who are those cheerleaders that I have who do inspire me and keep me going on those tough days. So I love it that really you've got this great international collaboration that keeps you connected to your family and it also gives you that energy.
Yes, yeah, I should obviously thank Skype.
I know, yeah, exactly. Thank God for Skype, right? Oh, fantastic.
Yes, yeah, like I always think like if there was no proper technology to like connect to your family abroad or something, how much people would miss their families and everyone. So I think it's really a good thing, like where you can just make a call and speak to your parents, or just like small things, just sending a message to them, and instantly it will be there with them and connecting with them. It's like the best thing, actually. Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah. I love it. And then everyone gets to benefit with the amazing food that you're creating. That's great. I don't know if you have seen, Megan featured a blog recently where she and her daughter did an Italian cooking class with another couple who were in our book from La Tavola Marché in Italy. And they actually do an online cooking class, like live. So you take a look at her blog, actually, because that could be something you could do. You could have your mom there in India, your sister, you could even be doing, a family cooking class for your clients. It was another, like you say, the technology gives so many options.
Yes, yeah. I was actually thinking of expanding because lots of people actually from America have contacted me to see if I can do online lessons for them.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, my kitchen's not very big where I could do displays for people, like do demonstrations for people. So I'm actually next week, I'm going to have a look at, and I'm going and having a look at a very big kitchen, and maybe it's a possibility, isn't it?
Wonderful.
The technology, yeah, you never know.
Definitely. No, it was the first time I'd heard of an actual live cooking class. And that they were part of it and they had their stuff in their kitchen as well. And it sounds fantastic. So a way for you to reach the global market. Well, on that note, Kirthi, thank you so much for being an inspiring global entrepreneur. I can tell that there are great things ahead for you and that the first 5 months is literally been only just the beginning and you've already accomplished so much. So my mouth is watering for some authentic Indian food as we finish this discussion. But I really thank you so much for taking the time out to be on our website and to do this interview today. And I encourage everyone to take a look at Kirthi's website, indiantadka.co.uk. She's got a great Facebook page. She's got recipes and great inspiration if you're trying to do this from home as well. And I love it. It's very colorful. Eat, learn, love Indian food. We wish you all the best, Kirthi. Thank you so much.
So much. Yeah, thank you. It's been my pleasure actually talking to you. Yes, yeah, thank you.
Fantastic, wonderful. Thank you so much, and we'll speak to you again soon.
See you then.
Bye.
Yeah.